Yo, welcome to another episode of the Bjj Goons podcast. I'm your host, Tim, the Mushmaster Spriggs, and with me as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's No New Nico Ball. And you know what I realized? Like, you haven't busted out any of your AKAs in a while.
Yeah, should I bust them out, guys? Let me know in the comment section or just DM me on Instagram. Let me know if I should bring back the AKAs, because I can bring them back.
I think you should not only just bring back the AKAs, but, you had, Blast Double Pop. You need to bring out, the personality,
Jits Bay?
Yeah, Jits Bay was another one.
I can be Jits. I've been in Jits Bay mode.
Maybe that's why you're not dropping the
lately.
AKAs, because you're only Jits Bay right now.
How am I Describe to me what you think Jits Bay is.
I don't know. That's why
Do you watch wrestling?
Well, no, I don't watch wrestling, but yo, there was an AEW show the other day. I was talking to somebody I work with, and I was trying to see if they could do something. They're like, yeah, I'm actually going to be at AEW with so and so, somebody else that trains at High Style Jiu Jitsu in Washington D.C. Shout out to the Sage, because he always speaks so highly of you and says that you do amazing in wrestling. And not only does he say that, but he speaks so eloquently. He always brings up these really good points about things that you do and how it relates to wrestling. So clearly he's a really big fan, because you were definitely at this show.
Yeah, I didn't go to the shows because I wanted to train, and I'm a professional wrestler now. And I would kind of feel as though I'd be a fanboy. It's kind of markish thing to do if you're...
Markish? What do you mean markish?
Markish. Okay, so a mark is just a fan.
Is that a wrestling term, or is that just
it's a professional wrestling
term? Okay. You busting out with jargon.
Yeah, it would be weird if I just went there as a fan. It would be weird because I'm a working professional wrestler now. I have matches. I get paid to do professional wrestling matches. I'm a professional. And I'm not going to go in the crowd. I am in there now. I'm in the field. That would be like me going to a jiu-jitsu tournament as a fan.
I didn't.
Unless I'm coaching somebody or doing commentary, why would I go? Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? I'm trying to be on the show. I'm not trying to be in the stands.
Interesting.
I'm actually out there wrestling. I don't know,
because I just always also thought you were a fan and that you watched a lot of wrestling.
Oh, I do.
It's
I
a valid
watch.
point.
I study.
You make valid points. I'm just very surprised at these points,
What do you mean? Am I coming off as a jerk?
It makes sense. Right? Because when you were asking if I watch wrestling, I was like, no, but I did find another wrestling show. And I was watching something on Hulu called The Dark Side of the 90s. And they were talking about the Viper Room in California, in Los Angeles.
Yes.
That was owned by Johnny Depp, and how it was a private getaway for famous people. So you give that kind of air of I'm I can't be out in the crowd and da-da-da. But I kind of get that, because wrestlers are supposed to have their personalities or whatnot. And
what you see out there when it comes to me is reality. When I wrestle, I don't do pro wrestling moves. I mean, it's a part of the sport to do, but I do drop Seo. I do hip tosses. I do real techniques. The stuff I do in jiu-jitsu, I do out there. So, that's my thing. I'm out there.
You're out there. And so, well, before I ask you the question, it's all right, let's talk about TV. And people that are following say, have you seen The Dark Side of the Ring? So if you do have Hulu, Dark Side of the 90s, amazing series. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I've seen Dark Side of the 90s, and I liked the Jerry Springer episode.
It made me think of you, definitely.
The Jerry Springer episode,
of course, because I know
Dark
your
Side of the Ring?
aspirations. I haven't watched The Dark Side of the Ring yet, but I know your aspirations for talk show stardom and that kind of flavor.
I want to be the next Maury. I want to do what he did. Maury is the GOAT. A lot of people.
Surprisingly, he wasn't really on that.
Okay, Maury was more of, late 90s, 2000s. That's when he was really the shit. That's when he started having like episodes like the paternity test. He was the first one to really do the paternity test big. That was a huge part of his show. And then he would have like the I'm your secret admirer. Do you remember me from high school? I went from Steve Urkel to Stefan Urkel, like those type of episodes. Matter of fact, for my I think it was my 18th birthday, I went to the Maury show.
Really? You've actually been?
I actually been to
Where
the
is it
Maury
filmed?
show. I went when I went um, when it was in New York, but now they film it in Connecticut.
Wow.
I fucked up because I was in college at the time, and they filmed during a weekday, and I was a real nerd in college. Like I wanted to do well. I saw like the first half of the show where they did the Secret Admirer, but I didn't stay for the paternity test. And to this day, I regret not staying to
Why,
see
how
it.
could you not stay till the paternity?
Because I had class later and I was like, oh, I don't miss class. I was such a fucking geek.
Unlike Malachi Edmonds, who
He
never
didn't,
went to
yeah.
class, like
Malachi
Tim
said,
was
fuck
responsible.
school. But hey, Malachi Edmond has a silver medal in the BJJ Worlds. Like, that's a huge deal. So,
Yeah,
sometimes you
definitely.
want to go to school, but, sometimes kids, school isn't the answer. You know, some. Hey, listen, school ain't for everybody.
Oh my God.
Let's keep it 100.
Hey, let's
School
keep it
isn't
on
for
that. Let's get
everybody.
built.
Is it though? Come on
It's not.
now.
It's not.
LeBron
Like,
doesn't have a college degree.
who?
That's LeBron.
Oh.
Not everybody. If you got the
But LeBron
talent to
has
do
like
stuff,
skills. Like sometimes like you need to have like some kind of skill like that's applicable to create a career, like a team behind you. Anyway, sliding off a team, trying to get kids to quit school. Dark Side in the '90s, great show. There was like the talk show one that made me think of you. The one about Fox Network, like starting with only 3 shows, was really interesting.
yeah, that's wild.
I didn't realize that. And then like something about some cults, so I picked that stuff up that I'm gonna try to implement with our Patreon followers. But I wanted to ask you if you've heard of The Dark Side of the Ring, because after I finish that series, since I know you love wrestling,
Yes, I love Dark Side of the Ring.
and what is it about?
It's about fucked up stories from wrestling, or people that have done crazy shit, or just crazy stories related to the business. They had the story of Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, like their friendship and what happened to them. Do you know about Eddie Guerrero and Chris
No,
Benoit?
nothing. Absolutely
Eddie
nothing.
Guerrero and Chris Benoit are two of the greatest professional wrestlers ever. I grew up watching them all the time. Just as a professional, you got to look at them as those are the two best in-ring workers in wrestling. Super athletic, could tell the story. Regardless, those guys, Eddie Guerrero had a massive heart attack on the road. And then like that day, they just carried on with the show and did a tribute to him. And that was Chris Benoit's best friend.
Damn.
And then Chris Benoit, he murdered his wife, murdered his son, and killed himself. But they checked his brain, and the man was about 40 or so years old, but his brain was that of a 70-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Wow.
And a lot of it was attributed to the bumps
Wrestling?
he took, allegedly.
Allegedly. Isn't it all filmed?
No, what I'm saying is the theory is that he had CT or some kind of thing that you get hit in the head a lot. It's like the only way I could compare it to is like you just like it's like if a dog got rabies where it just went rabid, like you just go crazy. It turns your brain to mush, and then you don't remember the Chris Benoit thing in the news?
Mm-mm.
That was a huge deal, Nico. That was a huge story.
And when did it
Yeah.
happen?
2009. No, 2008. Yeah, that's around the time I stopped watching wrestling for a long time. But yeah, I watched the show. I watched Dark Side of the Ring.
Interesting. So I'll have to check it out. Like,
I've watched every episode. It's the best. It's the highest rated show on Vice of all time.
uh, is
Crazy,
it-
right? Yeah.
Everybody loves wrestling, so it doesn't surprise me.
Everyone loves wrestling.
All the low-key, like, I don't watch wrestling, but the amount of
Everything.
people that I find out, like, low-key watch wrestling or into wrestling, it's a high number.
I just want to say one more thing about wrestling, and then we can move on. Like, everyone steals from wrestling. Donald Trump took all his shtick and just the way he carried his character. All that is wrestling stuff. Politics today is professional wrestling.
That makes sense. Like,
even
he's definitely
sports,
a character.
Sports steals from professional wrestling now, and that's why professional wrestling is the best. It is. It goes all. No, I guess I'm gonna geek out and like just derail the show. So just let's go to the next
No, but
topic.
you still have one more thing, like an explanation
Yes.
as we wrap up this
Okay.
catch up, because it's like, so me and Tim, we were having like these talks about how to get on an Instagram, how to do some more marketing and promote some stuff. Like, we're gonna be at Randori, which is tomorrow for us, but God knows when it's gonna be for you guys, because we're pre-recording episodes.
Yeah.
So it's
this isn't
like,
a vault. It's like 2 or 3 weeks from now. Go ahead, Nico.
yeah, but whatever. Hopefully y'all came out and y'all bought some stuff and this and that. So it's like,
we
I'm
sold
trying
out.
to like.
We sold out. That's what I'm gonna put it in the atmosphere right now.
Exactly.
We sold out.
I have a number that I want. So it's like, I'm trying to get on, I'm trying to message Tim and see if he's been able to get onto the business Instagram so that we can simultaneously start posting all these pictures that I made and this and that, right? Because, like, Tim can be really bad at posting on Instagram. But when I open Instagram, not only has Tim just recently posted, but he's got, like, this fly-ass picture, like, with this nice outfit. I don't know where you were sleeping.
Blast
Like, he's just, like,
Poppy.
looking nice. Like, all the times I'm like, Tim, we
Jits
need some
Bay.
pictures for the podcast. And he acting like he don't know what I'm talking about or how to get them. Here's one of those pictures. Beautiful, beautiful. And then under that, you know, like, business is, you know, if you have a business, you come up with a plan, like a strategy, like, you know, you have like your quarterly goals or something. I thought we would focus on marketing, but like Tim's got like this little paragraph, like going to war with somebody. So like,
Is that not good publicity for the show and our projects though?
I'm just saying, like, I could.
Is that not, Nico? I delivered. Did I not?
But like, if you put this in like the aspect of like power or like BMF, and like, what do people do? They shoot back. So like, you gotta inform the squad when you fire off. Like,
You stole that line from Pusha T, but I respect it. What you just said. I'm incorrect, but here's the thing. I have a lot of different interests. I have a lot of spinning plates at one time. You know this, and in my professional wrestling career, I had an event. For everyone in the know or doesn't know, I'm just going to make it clear. I'm undefeated in professional wrestling. And I would have gotten a chance at a title at Dynamite Championship Wrestling for the world title. But I got screwed over in the Rumble for Glory. And I got screwed over. And I did not take home the title opportunity. It's because of this guy named Mr. Ooh La La and this other guy called Boom Hayden that are little bitches that decided to basically blindside me and cause me to not win the Rumble. But here's the thing.
blindside you physically?
Yes. So this guy, Mr. Ooh La La, I already kicked his ass once before in a match. Then what ends up happening is, you know, I'm beating up this other guy called Boom Hayden, and then he decides to interfere after I kick his ass and to go and save him because I was just beating the fuck out of this guy. And I just continued to beat him after the bell, after the ref pulled me off of him once. And, you know, this guy, Mr. Ooh La La, wants to step in and be captain, save him. And now I got beef for both of them. You know, I had a chance at a world title, my first world title. They screwed me out of it. The video is going to be on YouTube, so I'll share it on our social media.
It's going to be. It's not there yet.
Not there yet, no.
But by the time this comes out,
Hopefully it'll be out by then, and you'll see how I got blindsided. 2 versus 1. Like some little hoes. But that's where the beef came from, Nico.
That's where the beef came from.
What are you looking at your phone? Are we running over time?
No, I'm trying to see these names. Mr. Boom Hayden.
Boom Hayden.
Like, this is local beef.
And Mr. Ooh La La. It's East Coast professional wrestling beef.
East Coast professional.
Yeah, apparently
beef.
people think Mr. Ooh La La is some kind of legend. You know, I didn't really know of him until recently because I'm a professional athlete. Like, I don't pay attention to everything in professional wrestling. But I hear this guy's a legend and everyone loves him. But, you know, to me, he's a little cheater. You know, just like everyone else in jiu-jitsu that's a cheater. But, you know, I'm going to kick his ass and I'm going to retire him. I'm
Interesting.
going to be the new
Interesting.
legend killer.
And we'll be able to see that. You know, most of the time you keep this kind of stuff under a paywall and Patreon kind of under wraps. This is the first time you've made like an outright statement like that.
Well, it's the cat's out of the bag now, you know.
But like these aren't the only people you're calling out. So you're calling out people in wrestling and jujitsu, and like I know you've been like possibly hunting for a fight in jujitsu. So like, how do you manage the training between both sports?
I rest when I feel that I need to rest, and I keep a consistent schedule. I'm still training more consistently than I did before. Who's number one? I trained jujitsu 4 times this week. Hooray. I'm trying to get to 5, you know, keep it 5 times a week. And just go out there and play. You know, that I just take joy out of my training and I just try to fine tune what I already do great at and expand. And every time I go out there, I want to have new skills to show the world. You know, that's kind of like my art, but I get paid pretty well to do it. And then professional wrestling is my art too. And they go hand in hand because unlike most professional wrestlers, I have a pedigree in combat sports. I'm a jiu-jitsu world champion. And with that training ability and with that experience, I can push the art form further, and that's what I do, and that's what the joy that I have. So I look at it as fun, and that's how I balance it, and I stay consistent. But physically, I sleep more. I try to sleep more. I've gotten really good sleep lately. I'm eating my John's Fit meals. Make sure you guys go to johnsfitmeals.com. Use promo code Bjj Goons. And, you know, I eat well. I try to stay hydrated as much as I can, and that's how I do it. And I relax my mind and I try to meditate, which I'm fucking up. I should have meditated today, but that's how I do it. And that's how I balance it. And I just keep my mind sharp. I think about the greater goals that I have in both, and that's how I do it, you know, and I don't take it too serious. I think a lot of times when people train, they push so hard on their expectations and they have such high expectations about it, or they're trying to force shit when it should be I'm playing a game. It's like playing Connect 4, which I'm very good at.
Yeah, playing a game and learning things as
Yes,
well.
and like, oh, I fucked up that time. Let's try it again, but let's
Yep.
try this. And that's how you got to train. You treat it like a laboratory.
I
That's
kind of remember because people think like TLI is very like competition focused and you have to do everything like perfect. And they talk about, you know, like back when you guys had like trials to get on the competition team, but like really like once you're in there and you're competing, you're performing, it's like Master Lloyd, especially when you're at a lower belt, like he never expects you to do everything at competition. He expects you to do what you've been drilling. Like if you're drilling your grips or your grip breaks or you're drilling a certain pass, like he expects you to do that correctly. But like he really hates when like athletes get like upset over their overall performance, especially if he's like, well, you're not at that level where you're like high level, like you're just out there competing, you're doing stuff and you're supposed to be evolving. So like don't be mad if you don't win, like focus on what you're supposed to be focused on, which is not what a lot of people expect from him, you know.
And once you do that, there's the growth. And the beautiful part of doing that is, yeah, you're going to get beat up or you're going to fail a lot in trying it, but that's going to make you more resilient. You're going to be more mentally resilient in the game. So I failed so many times when I was playing with the leg locks. I didn't have the most crisp technique, but I was a stickler for doing it right. And when I would train, I would do everything I could to do the sequence like it was taught to me and just do very technical with it. And if I fucked up, okay, I'm in a bad position, okay. Or I'm going to learn how to get out of the bad position and be able to counter and still go for the attack. But that took me being brave enough to say, I'm going to try it. And then that's where the growth happens. And then if you go for new stuff during your match, like if it's a high level competition or not, you're going to see that it works most of the time. And if it doesn't work in competition, it's cool. But then you just keep growing. But it all comes from you being resilient. And I think that makes you tough. That makes you a better grappler than I do the same stuff all the time throughout my whole career.
Yeah,
It
it's
makes you
like
one dimensional. It makes you easier to get caught up on because we're in the era now where guys are 10 years old and they're watching the guys that are on now. And then in a couple years, they end up fighting them either in Nogi. It happens a lot in Nogi, or like Cole Abate. You
yeah,
probably grew up watching these guys.
all
Now
the
he's
youngins
fighting
coming
them.
up in Nogi,
And
they
they're going
love
to
it.
say, okay, I know your game and you haven't changed in 8 years. As opposed to someone that's always trying new stuff or adding little facets to what they already do, you were going to be dangerous. I'd say Lucas Sapri is a prime example because he started doing really well in no gi, and he was known predominantly as a gi guy. And though people say he hasn't won ADCC, but 2 second places, it's phenomenal.
Good point. Good point. We got way off topic on some jujitsu stuff, but that was awesome. Like
Hey, it's a
staying
jiu-jitsu
focused. Like, yeah,
podcast.
it is. That's what I'm saying. Because like my next question was just gonna go back to like wrestling related. Sorry, like dang, I have like this Discord like popping off. Like everything should be
Nice.
silenced. But one thing that I wanted to ask before we like move on to the next topic, because we do leave most of your wrestling talk to the Patreon. Like, and you said you've mentioned like a lot of matches that you've had, and I've
Yes.
only recently seen one of your matches, which is really dope. Like, how long have you been training? Like, you're in like what I call wrestling school. I'm not sure what you guys call it, but how long have you been doing this? Because you've been doing it low key under wraps for a while.
I've been training since April of last year, April 2021. I had my first match, well, first real match probably in June. So I'm going through everything pretty quickly. But I'm a perfectionist and
That
I
you
want to
are.
make sure that I'm on the level where I'm world class and I'm the best. I'm already know that I'm the best, but I want to be like stamped the number one guy. So I got to go through the ranks, just like I did in jiu-jitsu.
Yep, just like you
Yeah.
did in jiu-jitsu. All right, okay, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and the last thing, like, well, we mentioned before, dang, we can't promote Randori because it's gonna already been happen. So
Yeah,
it's
so
like, yeah, but we are gonna talk a little bit
Randori
about.
Randori was a huge success, by the way. It was.
It is. It is. It was, I guess,
The
because
event
now we're
was a
talking about it's
success.
like a maxed out fight
And
card.
yeah.
I have two of my friends that are competing, in addition to the people that I know from like GF Team, like David. Well, both Davids I know from GF Team and 301 are going to be competing. But we're going to talk a little bit about the commentary, which is what we do at the event. So they won't have a live stream this time,
No.
but that you will be able to catch the event, a recording of the event afterwards on their website. I'm not sure
Yep,
if there's
yep.
like some kind of fee. There might be, not sure. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about like commentating because like we said before, Tim, like he's really into like theater, that presentation stuff, like the idea of being a talk show host and talking, like he loves that stuff. So like commentating is like right up his alley. So like let's talk about it. Is it easy? What do you think about it?
I think that jiu-jitsu commentary is not easy, but there's no blueprint. Well, not but. It is no blueprint, and I think that's what makes it difficult. When I think about doing jiu-jitsu commentary, it's still an untapped market, and there's no John Madden to it yet. No shade to anyone that does commentary. Everyone does a serviceable job, but I think that we still have a ways to grow as far as a blueprint. Because for me, when I'm doing commentary, it's hard to do when there's a lot of movement. It's very hard to do play-by-play in jiu-jitsu because it's a chess match that's going extremely fast, and for you to be a play-by-play guy in a traditional sense, you're going to be sounding like you're auctioning off a steer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's too much going on. And for me, it's been a part of me trying to like dial back when I do commentary. So, I'll sprinkle my expertise and the strategy, and I'll let the match play out without a lot of talking. When they're in a static position, I'll start talking more. But it's just finding that balance of I've done it before, I know what I'm talking about, and giving my expertise, but also letting it play out and getting the competitors over. It's kind of hard.
It can be really hard, especially like having to remember the names. I think the hardest part in jiu-jitsu is to like distinguishing them sometimes. Like two white gis, like all you got to tell the
Yeah.
difference is a green belt. The belt starts coming off. Like you can't always see their faces. That can be really hard to like pick up, especially when you think about running through like 40 matches.
Oh yeah. That's the thing too, folks. We're the hardest working commentators in the biz because our shows is about 40 or 50 fights.
We the hardest working. I like how you talk us up. We talk us up. But yeah,
Hey,
no, it is a pretty
we
big.
gotta get
It is
ourselves
a pretty
over,
big card when
bro.
you think about like the time. Because I was asking people what time they were gonna show up, and they're like not till like 5, and like we got to be there at like 11:30, 12. But the day does go by relatively quick. Like it's always fun when there's submissions. It's always fun when the crowd is going wild. There's definitely a bar at the events. So
Yes,
for the next one,
it's
if
gonna
you
be.
missed out.
It was lit. It was lit.
The last one was pretty good, and this one we have a lot more competitors. So,
It was a fun time.
but like, so if you
Speaking.
talk about a blueprint for like commentating, like or commentary,
Yeah,
like, is there one for other sports that you found? Like, can you download a PDF or something like that?
it's just something that you have to watch and study on your own. I don't think there's a blueprint for that blueprint, but well, there is. There are
Yeah,
examples of
blueprint for
great
that blueprint.
broadcasters in sports. The one that comes to mind immediately is John Madden. He's the color commentary goat, the sports commentator, like live sports commentator goat. There's Marv Albert in basketball.
Thank you for giving the sport on that one.
There's Keith Jackson in college football. There's all types of great commentators. I mean, there was Howard Cosell in other sports. But jiu-jitsu, it's so different than a lot of sports that you're going to see. And there is no Howard Cosell yet. So you just got to learn as you go along. And, it's kind of, it's a more art than science to it.
Do you think it's easier to do the podcast or to do commentating?
A podcast is easier because we can plan out what we're going to say and there's no live competition. In jiu-jitsu match, there have been times that we've had matches that were slow and with the whole distance, there wasn't a lot of action, and then you have ones where guys get cross-choked and put to sleep. You can't really prepare for that like you can for a podcast. So live sports commentary, hardest.
But those are some of like the best like videos of when they cut to when the commentators or the knockouts in the UFC, I guess. Again, like you don't get it a lot in jiu-jitsu. It can happen, but they're that like WTF moment where they're like, oh shit, that really just happened. Those are always quality moments. Like Tafan's knockout.
See what I mean? It's like, I just think it's hard. It's all hard. If you
No.
want to do something good, if you want great art, you're going to always nitpick your own work. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very, very true.
Yeah. So, Nico, you have anything else to add?
I don't know. I think we should leave our last topic, or what was our first, for the next episode because of time.
Yes, we're right at our time. So, where can we find you, Nico?
You can find me on Instagram at no new Nico. That's no_new_Nico. And make sure to follow favelajujitsu.com or Favela Jiu-Jitsu on Instagram. And by the time you hear this, the Bjj Goons merch will have dropped on favelajujitsu.com. So go check that out. We have new hoodies and we have interim these nuts t-shirts.
You can find me at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram and Facebook. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you like all my posts. Slide in the DM. Show me some love or hate. I don't really care. I barely check my DMs anyway. But make sure you hit me up on there and follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/Bjj Goons. I teach lessons on there. I give you bonus episodes. We have bonus episodes. We have a town hall.
Yeah.
We had a town hall a couple weeks ago that you should have been in. We have a whole Discord. All of that. We have a whole community. We have a cult on Patreon. So
The dark side of jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Patreon.com/BJJ Goons. Get in where you fit in for $5 a month.
Yes. This has been the BJJ Goons podcast. See you guys next time. Peace.